Today I'm going to show you how to roast a whole chicken in the oven. I've done it in a cast iron skillet with some vegetables to catch all of those beautiful pan drippings and to just create a nice, simple, easy meal that I use at least once a week, once for dinner, and then I use the leftovers all throughout the week for salads and lunches and just easy leftovers. If you're enjoying this video, be sure to hit the subscribe button below and click the bell icon to be notified every time I post a new and delicious recipe. Let's get into it. So, roasting a chicken. I was literally just gonna roast a chicken, but then I was like, oh my gosh, wouldn't it be so sad if there weren't like melty, chickeny vegetables like chilling in the same pan, and then, you know, now we're in it. So, now you know what it's like in my head. So what we're gonna do, we are going to roast a chicken, and it's gonna be super simple and it's gonna be super fast. But I also have in my bowl here, I've got some carrots that I kind of cut on the bias, and all that means is I took a carrot and I peeled it and then I cut at an angle and I alternated that angle. And then I've got some onions in here. You could use shallots, you could use leeks, cut them in bigger pieces if you're gonna use leeks so they don't burn. You can use turnips or rutabagas, like literally get yourself some like a root vegetable and just fall in love, you know? That's all I'm gonna say. You could also use potatoes would be great. Little new potatoes. Really whatever you like is what should go in this pan. And we're just gonna season it because you know me, and we season in layers so that the final dish tastes bomb. Because we're professional around here and that's what we do. So I've got myself a little canola oil, not a lot, just because there's like, you know, fat on the chicken that's gonna fall in. We don't want it like to be fatty. We just want just a little something so it doesn't burn immediately. Let's get ourselves a little kosher salt, just in there, just, you know, just start it off, start the party off. A little black pepper. Now you could use any sort of, you know, vegetable that you would like. I lost one. You can use like vegetable. You can use any sort of herb that you'd like. You can chop it up, you can put it in here, you can shove it under the breast like I did in my lemon chicken. It's totally up to you, or in my turkey. Anyways, that's it. Put your favorite veg in the bottom to catch all those juices and just be yum. All right, chicken. So I've got myself a whole chicken here. She's actually really pretty and her skin is lovely. So we are going to truss it. You don't have to, right? Like, no one says you can't just tie off the legs. You do want to at least tie off her legs. Like, this keeps everything together. It kind of protects the breast meat a little bit. So at least tie her legs together, okay? That's bare min, right? You could even use a rubber band. I know. As long as it can be baked, you can do it. So, no one says that you have to actually, you know, truss her. So I find it easiest to truss away from me. So I've got myself the breast right here, I've got her tush, and I've got her little legs. I don't actually know it's a girl, I just have a feeling because she's so pretty. Got yourself some kitchen twine. Nothing special about this, except that it's, you know, doesn't like shed. So go under the tush, right? So we're just gonna tuck it underneath her tush, and then we're gonna come up. It would help with my plate where it's so slippery. If I like put a paper towel under there or something, help myself out. And then we're gonna cross, okay? You're like, what? And then, so we've gone around our little legs, and we've crossed, and we are gonna go back under the legs. So we've made a little, like, you know, crisscross. So we've come up, and then we've crossed, and they've kind of folded it under the legs, right? And right now, all we're gonna do is kind of pull them together. So now, this is kind of like just tying the legs together, but it's a little bit simpler. They're not quite as tall, so they're also not gonna stick up as far in the oven, so you're gonna kind of protect some of this meat too, which can sometimes get a little bit dry. So, and then we're gonna go underneath her butt, underneath the thighs, and down and around. Now my paper towel is making this harder, so I'm going to move it. So all we did was we went up and under the legs. This kind of keeps it proud, right? And then we're gonna go under the wings, and we are gonna flip her over. You're like, what? I now. Under the wings, here we are. Get your little winglets out, kiddo. All right, nice. Now what we've got here is just, we've got the bottom of the bird. And we're just gonna do a little we're gonna do 3 loops. You could do 2, it doesn't really matter. 3 just kind of allows you to tighten it in a more controlled fashion. You're like, what? I know, it doesn't actually matter. Okay, and then we're gonna go underneath the neck. So we're just going under the neck, we're making a little crisscross, and we're coming back around. This just gives you an anchor, okay? There's no reason behind it except that you need to, have something to anchor to. If you squeeze too hard at this point, you'll snap it, which, whatever. It's a chicken and you're gonna roast it, so who cares? But if you care, there you are. And then you're just gonna snip the ends, right? Under the tush, cross the legs, underneath the wings, and flip. And tie. Easy peasy. Now, the only thing that we're gonna do here is we're gonna tuck her little winglets. See, they're all flopping around, they're like, no. We want them to be nice and we want them to cook, but then also not to just like burn. And if you leave them like out like this, well, they're gonna burn. So let's go ahead and shove them underneath. It's a little tricky, but you can totally do it, I know you can. We're gonna shove it underneath that twine that's down there. You'll see it if you pull her out, you're like, oh, look, I did that. Right, so just put it under there, and then we're gonna take her, and we're gonna plop her here. Isn't she cute? Look at her. Wow, so pretty. So I'm gonna wash my hands, and then we're gonna finish this so that I can touch this and not worry about cross-contamination, because salmonella is real. All right, now we are just gonna season her, okay? We're going to get a little cracked pepper on here because I want it to be kind of like a salt and pepper chicken situation. If you don't like black pepper, don't put it on there. You can use any herbs that you like. You can slide it up underneath the skin like I did in my turkey video so that you're seasoning the actual meat as opposed to just the skin, but this is by far the easiest way to do this. So anyways, a little kosher salt, and then clean up your pan. Now, I'm obviously roasting this in a cast iron skillet. You can roast this in literally anything you want. As long as it's oven safe, you can put a chicken in it. Speaking of ovens, I've preheated my oven to 350 degrees convection, or you can do 375 rags. I wouldn't suggest baking her any hotter than that, or she'll start to dry out on the outside before she fully cooks on the inside. Now, everything we do from here on out is optional, right? So obviously I've got some veg down there, and I'm gonna put a little bit of chicken stock. This is about half a cup of chicken stock, bonus points for homemade. And we're just gonna put a little bit down there. Not a lot, okay? It's not a ton. We are just trying to make sure that any of the drippings don't burn. I'm gonna reserve the rest of this so we can make a pan sauce, we can make a gravy from the drippings here. Any of that would be great. If you see it's getting dry in the bottom when you're checking it and your vegetables are starting to burn, then you can 100% just add a little bit more stock. So this is of course totally optional. You can shove your bird straight in your pan and straight in the oven. Like, it's gonna be bomb. So these are, I'm giving you options here. Anyways, in she goes. She's preheated. This is a pretty hefty bird. So it's probably gonna bake close to 75 minutes, but I'm gonna start checking it in about 30, just so I know what's up. Oh my God. All right, so our chicken is out. She cooked about 50 minutes. As soon as I pulled it out to test it, I always test with an instant read thermometer until it reads about 170, 175. I insert it right here into the fattest part of the thigh, making sure to avoid any bones, because those can hold or carry heat differently. So you want to make sure that the meat is done. So especially when you're roasting it on a bed of vegetables, which can sometimes, slow down that cooking process as well. So I tested that. I removed my chicken from my pan and put it on a resting rack. And then I put the vegetables back in the oven to allow them to continue to cook. So they cooked about another 30 minutes just because I wanted them to be nice and soft and tender and kind of just like melt in your mouth. Anyways, so now our chicken is rested and she is ready for us to slice her up. So let's go ahead and get a cutting board. Go ahead and cut your twine. I cut it in a couple places because, like, why not make it easier for me? And then just take off the twine. So now you cut a chicken like a turkey. So if you want to watch my how to break down a whole turkey video, you can see that. I will do it quickly here. And we're just going to kind of cut around the thighs. So you're just kind of following the bone in here. And I'm going to do both at the same time, and then I am going to break them. I know. There's lots of ways you can do this. There's no wrong way. The only wrong way is a way that doesn't feel easy or natural to you. So I'm just going to pop them out, which is going to help me just kind of cut that between like the bone. So you've got yourself your thigh and your drum there. Okay, great. So if somebody wants those pieces, they've got them. You've obviously got your little winglets here. I'm going to leave those here for just a second because it is easier to cut off the breast when the wings are holding your chicken up. So all we're going to do is we're going to kind of cut along the center here, and we're just going to kind of follow that down. You know, you're just kind of like pulling it apart. This is especially hard if it is hot. And then we're just going to kind of keep going around here until we've gotten all of the bone. And then you're just going to kind of cut down until you reach where it meets in its ball and socket, and you're going to cut it off. And now you've got your wing, if you would like to cut your wing off, or you can just like rip it off. And then you can of course pick off all of this meat that's left behind, which I will do. You can of course make a quick and easy chicken stock with this carcass. You can use a fresh carcass, like, you know, if you've pre-broken down your chicken into its separate pieces, like I show you how to do up there. Then you can make the chicken stock with that, or you can do it using this, you know, this carcass here, kind of getting a 2-for-1. You can also wear gloves. All right, and I'm just like I have it upside straight. I have skin side up so that I can keep that crisp and beautiful. If your top of your chicken didn't get as nice roasty toasty and golden brown as you want it to, pop it under the broiler and you'll get a nice even golden brown, and it'll re-crisp up that skin in case it wasn't crispy, but even if it was and you just want it to be darker, then that's cool. So, all right, it's time to try. Which feels a little awkward at this moment because I've got a carcass on my cutting board, which I'm gonna hold up. We're back. So we have our chicken breast here, which is what I want to eat. And then we've got our vegetables. We can just like dig into. It's amazing with wild rice or my quinoa pilaf, any of the roasted squash for the winter. It's really just such a delightful, easy dinner. Like you pop it in, and you know, 45 minutes to an hour later, your dinner is ready. And then you can keep eating it with salads and all sorts of things throughout the week. It's amazing. Without further ado, it's time to try. Okay. And here we have chicken. I love chicken. It is so juicy and so moist and perfectly cooked. It's just a delightful, easy chicken. And I love chicken more than anything. So